If you bought one of these stands, you got a great deal. And if you bought one of these stands, you got ripped off. Harbor Freight has had problems with their jack stands. The problem with these is that Harbor Freight is selling two very different versions of the same product and doing their best to hide that fact from the consumer. These sure look similar, and if you didn't know any better, you'd think they were the same thing. The two versions are built to different standards, and one version is inferior to the other. The deficiencies in the inferior version are what you'd expect to see in a counterfeit product, especially on the 6-ton stands. They look almost identical, they're the same price. They even have the exact same SKU number. The model numbers for both 6-ton versions are also almost identical. The website, of course, shows the model number for the superior version and the maximum lift height of the inferior version. The inferior version has a maximum lift height of 23 3/4 inches, and the superior version is 24 inches. The label on the inferior version was torn up before I bought them, but you can see that the gross weight is 15-point-something kilos, and the gross weight on the superior version is 16.85 kilos. Both versions are made in China. The inferior version has a warped base and wobbles. The superior version is flat and solid. The inferior version's handle is shorter and thinner. The superior version's handle has more length and girth. These are so similar, it's almost as if they're trying to confuse the customers into thinking they're the same. Even the rubber grip is just a little bit smaller on the inferior version. This is not a situation where there's an old version being replaced by a newer version. I found people complaining about inferior versions of these stands going back years. The casting on the post is different. The inferior version is noticeably rougher than the superior version. The superior post is about 13% thicker and about 3/8 of an inch longer than the inferior post. That results in the inferior post weighing about 4 3/4 pounds versus 5 1/4 pounds. There's simply less metal on the inferior post. On a tool like a jack stand, beefier is better. The only thing beefier on the inferior version that I found is the locking pin. The inferior base weighs just over 11 pounds and the superior base is almost half a pound heavier. The inferior base is about 1/4 inch shorter and the footprint on its base is almost 3/4 of an inch narrower than the superior version. A wider base should be a little more stable. In total, the inferior stand weighs almost a full pound less than the superior stand.